The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, let's remember, this Prime Minister promised a better NAFTA deal. And then he volunteered to renegotiate Canada's trading arrangement, and not only did he come back with concession after concession, with no wins at all, but he even signed a deal that still had steel and aluminum tariffs in place. And now we learn that there is language in the new agreement that suggests that Canada now has a quota by another name. So will the Prime Minister finally admit that this deal on steel tariffs is just not as advertised?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, under our government, the United States trading relationship faced its greatest threat. So we worked hard to get a good deal for Canadians. Now, Conservatives can't make up their minds. In the beginning, they were in favor of us signing any old deal just to get things done and abdicating on it all the way Steven Harper told them to. Then they opposed the good deal that we signed, that we negotiated with the help of all Canadians, and now they're in favor of the deal and they commit to ratifying it. They're all over the place, Mr. Speaker. We're staying focused on supporting Canadians, on fighting for workers.
Order. Allowed. Order. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The greatest threat to Canada's trading relationship with the United States is the weakness of this Prime Minister. Any old deal would have been better than the deal that he came home with. Concession after concession after concession on dairy, on autos, on pharmaceuticals. And now, in order to get steel tariffs lifted, Mr. Speaker, he had to give away the only piece of leverage that Canada had. He's actually agreed not to put strategic tariffs on other U.S. industries. So once again, Mr. Speaker, why did the Prime Minister give Donald Trump...
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Stephen Harper told everyone, no matter what, just abdicate to the United States. And that's exactly what the Conservatives were recommending we did. We stood strong alongside all Canadians, and we got a good deal for Canadians the way they expected it. But don't take any lessons from the Conservatives on trade. They couldn't get CETA done. They couldn't get the TPP done. It was this government that made sure that we are the only G7 country with a free trade deal with every other G7 country. That's what
Order. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, the Prime Minister's decision to appoint Unifor on his panel to determine eligibility for $500 million bailout package has destroyed this government's credibility. Unifor is a highly partisan group with aggressive partisan goals. They have made it clear that their objective is to help elect Liberals and defeat Conservatives. And yet this Prime Minister has decided to appoint this group to his panel. So why doesn't the Prime Minister just admit that he's openly trying to stack the deck in advance of the next election?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
we know that a strong independent media is essential to the functioning of a healthy democracy. That is why we wanted to make sure on our independent panel that, unlike what the Conservatives want, it's not just newspaper owners and media giants that are on that panel. We need to make sure that hardworking journalists are well represented on that panel as well. But on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we will always defend labor. We will always defend workers, unlike the Conservatives that attack organized labor at every chance they get, including with 525 and 377 in the last Parliament.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, Jerry Diaz is not a journalist. He represents a union that has called itself the Resistance to Conservatives. It's bankrolling partisan attack ads put out by a third-party organization and run by high-level Liberal backroom veterans. There are other entities that could represent workers on this panel, but they chose to choose a Liberal-friendly partisan organization. Right. Now, it's very clear that this is just one aspect in the Prime Minister's attempt attempt to rig the next election, including putting caps on Conservatives, but not on government spending announcements. Why?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we will make no apologies for putting forward an opportunity to build a strong, independent media that is secure as we move forward, that makes sure that both employers and employees are represented. But, Mr. Speaker, it's absolutely laughable that the Conservatives, who were found guilty of election fraud in multiple past elections, give any lessons on independence. What they tried to do with their Unfair Elections Act was muzzle Elections Canada and preventing it from talking to young people, removing the right to vote from thousands of Aboriginal people, thousands